Okay, here's my 2002 Honda Civic again, and I'm going to I'll show you how to remove the front motor mount, and then, I don't know if you can see it with my intake on there, but show you how to remove the back motor mount. And also too, the kicker is I'm going to put motor mount inserts, polyurethane inserts, which actually will help with performance of the drivetrain, because if you've driven these Hondas before, they have a lot of movement when the transmission shifts, like rotation mass and stuff like that, that'll rotate really bad. And I've already replaced the transmission mount over there, which is fairly simple because it's basically self-explanatory. You got the bolts right on top of the transmission and a bolt straight through the mount, just support the transmission underneath it, and you could take that one off and then replace that one. I've also replaced this one already, but I found out about the motor mount inserts after the fact, so it ain't a big deal to take it off, and I wanted to show some people how to put the inserts in. So basically, to do the front motor mount, all you're going to need is a 17 socket. You got a 17 right here, 17 right there, and a 17 right there. And then you got another one you need is a 14 for that other one. I'll show you where that's at so that way y'all know. And that one right there is the 14. And what I did, I unhooked the O2 sensors, just pulled them out the way because they run in the way of that, and I didn't want to take a chance of yanking on the wires or any of that stuff. So better safe than sorry is always my good motto. Yeah, and then I'll show you once I get it off and how to put the inserts in. This is what it looks like from underneath once you get the 3 bolts out. Well, 4 bolts. This is the front one. I didn't have to support anything to take it out because it's just there to keep it from rotating too, because you got all the other mounts. You got the one in the back, you get the one up there in the back, right, you can see it right there. You got one over on the driver's side and the transmission mount. So do one mount at a time. So basically I'm going to take this one out and just pull it out from the top, pull it out to the top, or you can pull it out to the bottom. I'm just doing this with one hand. See, it comes right out really easy. I just replaced this one. I'm going to show you how to put the insert in real quick. Basically, if you can see the shape of that, you just find the one that fits, and it slides right in there. And it'll go down to the point where it locks in. Get smashed down. Actually, they didn't supply it, which I'm going to do myself, is actually put grease in between the 2 rubber pieces, so that way you don't hear squeaking. I forgot to do that, just reminding myself. So I'll do that, and then I'll show you after I put it in. Okay, got it all back together. When you take this mount off and put the polyurethane inserts in, when you reinstall it, it's going to be a little finesse is going to have to be taken, so that way you can get it in there, because of the thickness of the insert kind of made mine a little off when I put it back in there. But you get a couple bolts started, and then you take it easy to get the rest of the bolts in. So, and then to get all that basically get them all started and then tighten everything down. And then for the back motor mount, it's not that hard to get it off. You have 17mm bolts, one right there, and then the one right there. These are fairly easy to get off. This is a bracket for the transmission. And then you have 3, and then one underneath the exhaust. You can see it, it's right here. 15mm bolts. Let me make sure that was right, hold on. No, 14mm bolts, sorry. 14mm bolts to get off, to pull the whole mount off. To get this bolt, all I used was a 17 shorty and a little extension with a ratchet out here and broke it loose. And to get the actual bottom mount off is I have aftermarket exhaust on my car. I had to actually take the exhaust loose from the manifold just enough to slide it out the way to get this bottom bolt loose, so that way I could take the whole mount off. I took this bracket off first, then loosened the motor mount and pulled it out, and then reinstalled it. You have to have the car jacked up a considerable amount so that way you could get underneath here and maneuver the bracket out the way and then pull the motor mount off. I reinstalled it together. Basically, when I had it out, put the insert in outside the car, put the transmission mount, the bracket on to the motor mount, and then reinstalled it in one unit, which wasn't that hard. So I'd recommend probably taking it off that way too. Basically just take the 3 bolts off the transmission metal and then the motor mount bolts, and then you should be able to just pull it out nice and easy. Just make sure you loosen that one so that way the motor mount allowed to move, so that way you can finagle it out of there. But once you got all that nice and tight, got your exhaust back together, you put all your, just double check everything. I got to reconnect my O2 sensors. Just get everything buttoned up and then fire it up and make sure nothing's loose or any of that stuff, and it should be nice and tight, so that way when you shift in and doing anything like that, the motor should stay pretty well locked in. It still allows it to move, so that way it's not like a solid mount, but it still holds it tighter, so that way you don't get so much rotation and lose all that power to the ground you could be putting down. So, but that's the motor mount and the motor mount inserts. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and we'll go from there. Just as a helpful hint for the 2002 Honda Civic motor mounts and inserts, is I did the inserts and I ended up taking the back motor mount insert out and then reinstalled the factory motor mount, because it was so tight. It still gave a little bit, still had a little movement, but everything was so tight in the motor mounts that any vibration in there would transfer into the car, so it was kind of annoying. So I took the rear motor mount back out and took the insert out and put it back, and then everything went back to normal. Just a helpful hint.